Welcome back to the Vintage Sewing Machine, everyone. I am bringing to you another installment for the Singer 185J. And if there has ever been an example of the point that I have made in prior videos, that just because a machine looks pretty, even though it is aesthetically beautiful, as this one was when I got it, that doesn't mean it is mechanically ready to sew anything. And such was the case with this machine. Now, to catch all of you guys up, I'll kind of cover where I've been with the machine. You saw me struggling in an earlier video, but I bought the machine in a case, and it had a little rust in it. And I thought, okay, well, all right. There was rust in the bottom of the case, so I took the machine and I got it out, and I figured, well, I scraped all the rust off with a wire brush, what I could get, and I could not get any movement. Tried the WD-40, no movement. So then I got something called Evapo-Rust, which is a product that's designed to strip rust off of metal. And I took my 5-gallon bucket and I put in 3 quarts of it, put in some objects to raise the level, and I let it soak overnight. Went out the next day. Oh wow, it took all of that rust out. I thought, that's great. All I need is some penetrant and I should be in business. Oh no. It was very successful at removing the rust where it could penetrate. So I decided that I would take Liquid Wrench, which is another penetrant product, and I would soak it. It still wouldn't move. Alright, so what did I do? I took my space heater, and I did all of this outdoors, by the way, because all of the products that I'm using, they stink. You do not want to do this indoors. You definitely want to do it outside where you have ventilation. So I took the heat, the space heater, and I ran it on there for, I was watching it. You have to be careful with those. You can't put too much heat on something. You can damage the machine and cause other problems. But I was careful with it and put more Liquid Wrench on it. And after strong arming it a little bit at a time with my vice grips, I was able to get about 1/8 of an inch wiggle. And I kept watching because I could get movement with my needle bar, but it would stop. And I couldn't get the shuttle mechanism to move at all. And then I finally got about 1/8 of an inch. So my next thought was, okay, I got that far. I then went and purchased Marvel's Mystery Oil. Now that's a product that's available in car parts stores, and I have never had a machine that was so bad I had to use that stuff or try it. I figured, okay, I'll give it a go. Took about 3 quarts, put it in this old 2-box, put the machine down in it and let it soak for a week. Took the machine out, put my space heater on there. Nothing, no progress. Okay, put it back in the Marvel's Mystery Oil bath. Took it out again, same thing. I decided to try it one more week of soaking to see if I could do this. I've never had to struggle with a machine this badly, at least not from rust. So now I'm going to see. I've basically opened it up. It's been sitting in this bath. It is now a little over 3 weeks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my vice grip. I've got some movement here. I've been getting movement. Now I'm going to take, and what I'm going to try to do, and what I want to do is I want to see this. And what I want to do is I don't want to just see the needle bar move. I want to be able to get a full rotation, okay? And that's my goal. Oh, heck yeah. There it goes, I think. Hold on. Let me move this again. I think we got some movement here, guys. Hold on. I'm going to hold it up because this is an oscillator. I don't know, can you guys see what I'm doing here? I've got the one end of it here. See if you can see me turning this. Yes. All right. All right. Look. If you look at the shuttle, notice it's going back and forth. Finally. Holy cow. Oh. Well, there you go, guys. I hope you were able to see me. I was turning this and this, and again, you saw me push it, and there's always a fine line between forcing something, because if you force it too hard, you think, well, what's the harm? It could really screw up the timing. You know, I don't know. This thing is built like a giant battleship. Now, the only thing I can think of here and why this worked, the Evapo-Rust, that stuff was able to remove rust, but because this design, this is the design, the same one from the Singer 99, and this is, of all the machines, this is one of the least likely to freeze up because there's more play or slop, and that's not a negative. This thing was designed, the mechanism was designed at the turn of the 20th century. Singer introduced the 66, which is what this is really based on, in 1902, right? And it was their finest machine until the 201 came out. So it's one of the most successful sewing machines in history, and this is its descendant. This would have been the last version of it. A couple of years of production of this model, and then they stopped. So my only theory, I mean, I guess what may have happened is the Evapo-Rust took away the rust where it could, and then with the heat, which ironically, heat can actually help break rust free sometimes, with the liquid wrench and the heat, I was able to get some movement and get a little bit maybe of an opening, I don't know. But the Marvel's Mystery Oil ultimately did it. In fact, I don't know if you guys can see this, but right here, right on the edges of where those metal parts join, there's like some, I don't know if it was rust or maybe it may have been some kind of crud or silt. I don't know what it was, but I'm totally theorizing here. What I think may have happened is that the Marvel's Mystery Oil had enough time, because I was patient and didn't throw it in the garbage, to do its thing. It's one of those things that works slowly, and by penetrating into those gaps where the Evapo-Rust could not get, it was able to eventually dissolve some of the rust enough to let me move the machine around. And so now, well, I was really close, guys. I was really close to, you know, keeping all the parts, taking the tension assembly, never throw a machine out. Always take, if it's not salvageable, take all of its precious parts and save them, either for yourself if you're a restorer, or give them to someone who works on machines. Sewing vac centers often will take them, because you never know. Someone brings in a machine and says, hey, can you fix this? Well, I need a part. So it looks like at the, what's the saying, guys? At the 11th hour, it looks like I may be able to save this. So now I'm going to be able to, the next step is going to be to take this machine out, get it cleaned off, I'm not worried about that, get it all clean, and then take out, the only part I really need to remove that may have some corrosion is the little spring here, and I'll soak that in some more of the Evapo-Rust product. And then all of the parts that I took off that I thought I might have to salvage, they're going to be going back on. Now, one thing I need to check on here, I'm going to move the camera for you guys so you can see this. This, of course, is the drive shaft, and this is where I've been gripping with my channel locks, or whatever you want to call them. And so one of the things I want to do is I may need to sand this a bit, get it smooth again, and get it ready for the hand wheel. But that should not be an issue. And anyway, if I'm able to get this to run again, and at least I've gotten it unlocked, this may be the the toughest hard luck case I've ever had with a sewing machine, and I've had a few. And you guys have watched me struggle with the Kenmore, which I can't as easily soak the Kenmore, but I may not have to. I think the Kenmore may, if I'm if I'm more patient with it, I may be able to bring it back without submerging it in marvels, because then I'm going to be removing its parts, all of its belts and stuff is a lot more involved than this one was. And I'm willing to do it just to try. But this is encouraging. Again, it takes patience. It's been maybe 3.5, guys. It's been 3.5 weeks and I've had this thing sitting here. But a part of me thought, well, maybe it's not working, but I had heard that you need to let things sit for a while in this product in order for them to work, and apparently it has. So, whew. Well, if there's anything that illustrates why you should never expose your sewing machine to moisture, this is it. But these are magnificent sewing machines, and the paint is so perfect. You can't tell now, it's a little messy, but the paint on this machine is perfect. I mean, it's beautiful. The decal is gorgeous, and when it gets cleaned up, and it's gonna really shine. And I'm just so happy that I was able to save it. And again, you know, this is kind of an extreme example. Most of you, if you have a machine locked, it's usually due to lack of use. Maybe it's been put in an attic and the oils have dried up and they've gotten like glue. And very often a little bit of heat and some of those penetrants will usually unlock your machine. But this one had rust, and it was pretty severe. At least it looked that way to me. And I thought, well, I hate, you know, you guys know I hate I hate giving up on my machines, and thankfully I didn't have to. But this was a kind of extreme case. But he does illustrate, as I've said, you can have a machine that's scratched up and is just ugly, you know, ugly, and it'll run, and then you'll get one beautiful and it may not. So never make that assumption, and this is why I take every one of my machines through the restoration process. Fortunately, most of them have never required extreme measures, but this was probably the most involved I've ever gotten in trying to unlock something. But now it's ready. Well, it's ready. What is it ready for? It's ready for me to clean up and see if I can get it to sew, right? We've gotten it unlocked. And if any machine has ever been forgiving for sitting for a long time, it's either a Singer 66 or one of its descendant derivative machines such as this one. They are tough machines for a reason, and even after all the soaking and the wrestling and the twisting I've given it, I don't know, I'm cautiously, cross fingers guys, I'm cautiously optimistic that this thing is going to run again, but I don't want to say that because you know what happens when you make those assumptions. But anyway, thanks for patiently going along with me and watching the videos. You've seen me again struggle with the Kenmore. My goal is to get the Kenmore and the Singer both running, and I may, if I can do that, I may want to make a video and show both of them at the same time. And so again, the reason I wanted to videotape this is because some of you may get into a sewing machine and want to overhaul it, and you may get, you know, discouraged or maybe it's overwhelming, and it's easy to give up. You think, good grief, how much time do I need to spend with this? But sometimes, you know, the machine doesn't mind. I had it covered, you know, so that, you know, it wouldn't get any moisture while it was sitting in this bath of a very old product, that old Marvel stuff. But anyway, I hope this was helpful and encouraging to those of you who have machines that are stubborn and don't want to work. But I don't blame Singer or the machine, because the machine did not put itself out in exposure to moisture in the elements. No, a human did that. But it is now at least stable. We'll call the patient stable. And you know what? I'm pretty pleased with that. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me struggle. And maybe it's an inspiration to those of you who get machines that are sicker than normal. But most of them can be brought back. It just depends on how patient you are and what you're willing to try. And again, I always do this type of thing outdoors. I don't want the stuff in my house smelling like this. But it's gorgeous weather out today, and hopefully the next video I make for you guys, you will see this machine all spiffed up. But for now, I'm happy with this. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and patiently listening to my rambling. But these videos are not scripted. I just riff and say what comes to mind, and it's all based on having done this for years, and a love of not just sewing machines, but things that were made in a time when things used to be made so well. And if this was a new plastic machine, I really don't think it would have suffered all this nonsense and still been in one piece. I really don't. But anyway, if you have comments or thoughts, or thoughts of encouragement, or suggestions on how to do this better, please leave your comments below, and we will see you next time. Take care.